It's not personal, Diana, it's just biology. My mother, Linda, leaned over the wooden railing of the gallery in probate court, her voice a hushed, venomous whisper. She adjusted her black veil, a piece of theater she had worn for the last 3 months since my father's funeral, and patted my hand with a cold, dry palm. Your father wanted the legacy to carry on, she continued, her eyes darting to my brother, Kyle, who was sitting at the plaintiff's table, picking lint off his ill-fitting suit. Kyle has a son. He has a wife. He has a future. You have, well, you have your career. And your cats. She smirked. It was a tiny, fleeting thing, gone before anyone else could notice, but I saw it. It was the smirk of a woman who thought she had just pulled off the heist of the century. The will is clear, Linda hissed, leaning back as the bailiff announced the judge's arrival. He changed it 2 weeks before he died. Everything goes to Kyle. The house, the accounts, the business. You get the grandfather clock. It's antique. You should be grateful. I looked at her. I looked at the diamond ring on her finger, a ring she had bought with the credit card I paid off last month. I'm not grateful, Mother, I said softly. My voice was steady, devoid of the tears she was hoping to see. I'm patient. Patient? She scoffed. Honey, the judge is about to sign the order. It's over. You're the spinster sister who got cut out. Accept it. I turned my gaze to the front of the room as the door to the judge's chambers opened. My mother thought this hearing was a formality. She thought she was here to collect a rubber stamp on her manipulation. She didn't know that the judge walking through that door wasn't just a random public servant. And she certainly didn't know that the legacy she thought she was stealing didn't belong to my father anymore. It belonged to the person she had spent 30 years underestimating. To understand why my mother felt comfortable disinheriting me to my face, you have to understand the fiction she has lived in for decades. In the Vance family, men are kings, and women are support staff. My brother Kyle is 32. He is the golden boy. He has started 4 businesses. All of them failed. He has needed loans from my parents every 6 months for the last 10 years. He drives a leased Range Rover he can't afford, lives in a house my parents put the down payment on, and cheats on his wife, Tiffany. But to my mother, he is a visionary. He is the heir. Then there is me, Diana, 34. To my family, I am the gray mouse. I live in the city. I drive a sedan. I wear monochromatic clothes, black turtlenecks, navy trousers, simple wool coats. No logos, no flash. When they ask what I do, I tell them I work in corporate compliance. To Linda, that means I'm a secretary who files papers. To Kyle, that means I'm a boring bureaucrat who hates fun. Oh, Diana, Linda loves to say at Christmas, handing me a gift card to a bookstore while Kyle opens a new watch. You work so hard for so little. Maybe you should try to meet a man at the office? Even a paralegal makes decent money. You need someone to take care of you. I never correct them. I never tell them that corporate compliance means I am a senior partner at Sterling and Wraith, one of the most ruthless corporate litigation firms on the East Coast. I never tell them that my sedan is an armored Audi S8 with a V10 engine. I never tell them that my simple clothes are bespoke commissions from the Rowe and Brunello Cucinelli, costing more than Kyle's entire wardrobe combined. And I certainly never tell them that my billable rate is $1,500 an hour. Why do I hide it? Because 10 years ago, when I graduated law school, top of my class, I tried to take my parents out to a celebratory dinner. Linda looked at the menu, saw the prices, and laughed. Oh, honey, let's go to Chili's. I don't want you to stress about the bill. I know entry-level jobs don't pay well. Then, in the same breath, she handed Kyle a check for $20,000 for his crypto investment idea. I realized then, to them, I am invisible. If they knew I was a multimillionaire, I wouldn't be their daughter. I would be their ATM. So, I let them believe the lie. I let them pay for my $5 coffee while they lectured me on budgeting. I watched my father's health decline over the last 2 years. I watched Linda isolate him. I watched Kyle circle like a vulture, whispering in Dad's ear about legacy and keeping the money in the family name. I knew what they were doing. 2 weeks before Dad died of dementia complications, Linda took him to a strip mall lawyer. They drafted a new will. They revoked the original 50/50 split. They wrote me out completely, leaving me only the grandfather clock, a heavy, broken thing that Linda hated dusting. They thought they were being clever. They thought they were securing the bag for the golden boy. But they forgot one crucial detail about estate law. You cannot give away what you do not own. The courtroom hallway before the hearing was a masterclass in tackiness. Kyle was leaning against the wall, vaping. Despite the no smoking signs, he was wearing a suit that was too shiny, too tight, and too blue. Tiffany, his wife, was scrolling on her phone, ignoring their 2 children who were running screaming down the corridor. Linda was holding court, surrounded by a few of her bridge club friends who had come for moral support. I stood alone near the water fountain, checking emails on my phone. Kyle spotted me and sauntered over, a smug grin plastered on his face. "Hey, Dee," he said, blowing a cloud of berry-scented vapor over my shoulder. "You okay? You look a little pale. Reality setting in?" "I'm fine, Kyle," I said, not looking up from my screen. "Look," he sighed, feigning magnanimity. "I've been thinking. Once the judge signs the order and I get the house, I might let you take the old Toyota too. It's got a lot of miles, but it's better than taking the bus, right?" Tiffany laughed from the bench. "Oh God, Kyle, don't be too generous. She'll expect gas money next." Kyle chuckled. "True. But seriously, Di, Mom told me about the clock. It's a nice piece. You can sell it, get a few $100. Treat yourself to a spa day. You look like you need it. You look tired. Old." "34 isn't old, Kyle," I said calmly. "It is in the dating market," he shot back. "Let's be real. The only reason Dad cut you out is because he knew you'd just waste the money on, I don't know, books? Or cats? He wanted the money to go to producers, people who build things." "You've bankrupted 3 LLCs, Kyle," I stated. It wasn't an insult. It was a fact. "That's business," he shouted, his face turning red. "You have to spend money to make money. You wouldn't understand, you're just a paper pusher. You don't have the entrepreneurial spirit. Dad knew that. That's why he trusted me." Linda walked over, adjusting her veil. "Lowered voices, please," she chided, though she was smiling at Kyle. "But he's right, Diana. Your father was very clear in his final moments. He said, 'Linda, make sure the family is taken care of. And in this family, the men carry the name. Well, you'll eventually change your name. If you ever find someone." She reached out and tucked a strand of hair behind my ear. Her fingers were cold. "Don't fight this, Diana. We have the new will. We have the witnesses. We have the lawyer. You have nothing. Don't embarrass yourself by trying to speak in court. Just sit there, take your clock, and go home." "I intend to speak, Mother," I said. "Why?" she snapped. "To beg? It's pathetic." "To clarify," I said. "Clarify what?" Kyle sneered. "That you're jealous? That you are mistaken," I said. I looked at the heavy oak doors of the courtroom. "You think today is about the will, Kyle. It's not. It's about the math." "Math?" Linda rolled her eyes. "God, you're boring. This is why Dad liked me better. I have personality. You have spreadsheets." The bailiff opened the door. "Docket number 4492. Estate of Robert Vance. All parties, please enter." Kyle straightened his tie. "Showtime," he whispered to Tiffany. "Start looking at Zillow, babe. We're getting a pool." They marched in like they owned the place. Linda took the front row bench. Kyle and his strip mall lawyer, Mr. Henderson, took the plaintiff's table. I walked in slowly. I didn't sit in the gallery. I walked through the little wooden gate. I placed my briefcase, a Hermes Kelly bag that Linda probably thought was a knockoff, on the defense table. "Mr. Henderson turned around. He looked confused. "Miss Vance," he squeaked. "The gallery is back there. This area is for counsel." "I am counsel," I said. "You?" Kyle laughed, loud enough for the bailiff to glare at him. "You're representing yourself? Oh, this is going to be good. They say the man who represents himself has a fool for a client." "They say a lot of things, Kyle," I said, opening my laptop. "All rise," the bailiff bellowed. The door to the chambers opened, and Judge Eleanor Sterling walked out. I allowed myself a tiny, invisible smile. Judge Sterling wasn't just a judge, She was the former senior partner at the firm where I did my clerkship. She was my mentor. Judge Sterling sat down, arranged her robes, and looked over her spectacles at the courtroom. Her eyes scanned the plaintiff's table. She saw Mr. Henderson, who was sweating. She saw Kyle, who was slouching. Then her eyes moved to the defense table. She saw me. Her eyebrows shot up. A genuine look of surprise crossed her stern face. "Miss Vance?" Judge Sterling asked, her voice booming through the microphone. "Good morning, Your Honor," I said, standing up. I didn't see your name on the docket as counsel," the judge said. "Are you representing the estate?" "I am representing the trust, Your Honor," I said. "Trust?" Linda whispered loudly from the gallery. "What trust?" "There is no trust." Mr. Henderson stood up, fumbling with his papers. "Your Honor, objection. We are here to probate the last will and testament of Robert Vance, dated August 14th of this year. We have the original copy. It clearly states that the entire estate passes to his wife, Linda, and his son, Kyle. There is no mention of a trust." Judge Sterling looked at me. "Miss Vance?" I picked up a single, thick document from my table. "Your Honor," I said, my voice projecting clearly to the back of the room. "Mr. Henderson is correct. The will dated August 14th does indeed leave everything to Kyle." Kyle smirked and elbowed his lawyer. "See? I told you. However," I continued, "a will only governs assets that are owned by the deceased at the time of death." I walked toward the bench, holding the document out. 5 years ago, when my father was first diagnosed with dementia, he made a decision. He was terrified of his medical bills bankrupting the family. He was terrified of mismanagement. I didn't look at Linda, but the room felt the weight of my words. "So," I said, "on November 12th, 2019, Robert Vance transferred the deed to the family home, the ownership of his business, and the contents of his investment accounts into an irrevocable trust." I handed the document to the bailiff, who handed it to the judge. "The Vance Family Preservation Trust," I said. "That's a lie!" Linda shrieked, standing up. "I never signed that. I'm his wife." "You didn't have to sign it, Mother," I said, turning to face her. "The assets were in his name only. You signed a prenup in 1985, keeping your finances separate. Remember?" Linda's face went gray. She sank back onto the bench. Judge Sterling flipped through the document. She nodded slowly. "This appears to be in order," the judge said. "Recorded with the county. Notarized. The assets were transferred years ago." She looked at Kyle. "Mr. Vance, it appears the will you are holding is valid, but it is empty. It governs an estate with a value of 0. 2 heads, dime 9. Kyle stood up, his hands shaking. But the business. Dad's printing business, it makes money." "The business is owned by the trust," I said. "And who controls the trust?" Kyle shouted. "Dad is dead. Who is the trustee?" Judge Sterling looked at the last page of the document. She looked at me. A small smile played on her lips. "The trustee," Judge Sterling read, "is Diana Vance." The sound of a purse hitting the floor. Tiffany had dropped her bag. Kyle's mouth opened and closed like a fish. "Diana?" he choked. "Her? But she's a secretary." "Actually," Judge Sterling said, taking off her glasses, "Miss Vance is one of the most formidable corporate litigators in this state. I believe she just made partner at Sterling and Wraith, didn't she?" I nodded. Kyle looked at me. He looked at my suit, really looked at it for the first time. He saw the cut, the fabric. He looked at my calm posture. "You?" he whispered. "You control the money?" "I do," I said. "And the beneficiary?" "Mr. Henderson asked weakly. "Who is the beneficiary of the trust?" "The beneficiary," I said, "is Robert Vance. For his care during his lifetime." "He's dead!" Kyle yelled. "And upon his death, the trust documents state that the assets are to be distributed at the sole discretion of the trustee." I paused. "That's me. 2-7-H'er. Linda let out a wail that sounded like a dying animal. "You stole it. You stole our legacy." "I saved it," I corrected her. "I paid Dad's nursing home bills for 5 years out of this trust. I paid off the mortgage you took out, Mother. I kept the business afloat when Kyle tried to drain the operating account in 2021. I walked back to my table and closed my laptop. The house is in the trust. The cars are in the trust. The accounts are in the trust. I looked at Kyle, and the will you forced Dad to sign while he was confused. It governs his personal effects only. So, congratulations, Kyle. You get his socks. And the grandfather clock. I'll have it delivered to your apartment. End quote. Those not trainin'. Judge Sterling banged the gavel. Case dismissed. The will is valid but governs no assets. The trust stands. Court is adjourned. I packed up my bag. Kyle rushed the barrier. He grabbed the railing, his face sweaty and red. Diana, wait. Wait. I stopped. I didn't turn around. Die, please, he begged, his voice cracking. We put a deposit down on a house. Non-refundable. I need the payout. Just release some funds from the trust. We're family. I turned slowly. Family? I asked. 10 minutes ago, I was the spinster sister. 10 minutes ago, I was a boring bureaucrat. I was joking, Kyle cried. You know me! I'm an idiot! But Tiffany, the kids, we need this money. You don't need money, Kyle, I said coldly. You need a job. I can't get a job, he shouted. I'm an entrepreneur. Then go invent something, I said. Linda pushed past him. She grabbed my arm. Diana, you can't do this to me. I'm your mother. I live in that house. I looked at her hand on my sleeve. You do live there, I said. Rent-free. Because I let you. You wouldn't evict me, she whispered, her eyes wide with terror. I haven't decided yet, I said. But here is the new arrangement. The allowance Dad was giving you? It's gone. The credit card I've been secretly paying off? It's canceled. Canceled? She gasped. But how will I live? You have Social Security, I said. And you have Kyle. He's the golden boy, right? Let him take care of you. I pulled my arm away. I'm going to lunch, I said. Judge Sterling and I have a reservation at Le Bernardin. I'd invite you, but, well, you know, it's expensive. I walked out of the courtroom. Behind me, I heard Tiffany screaming at Kyle. I heard Linda sobbing. I heard Mr. Henderson asking Kyle how he planned to pay the legal fees for the hearing. I don't have it, Kyle stammered. I didn't evict my mother immediately. I'm not cruel. But I did sell the big house. It was too much for one person. I moved her into a respectable one-bedroom condo. I pay the rent. She hates it. She says it's small. I tell her she's lucky she's not in a state home. Kyle had to return the Range Rover. He works at a car rental agency now. He scans cars when people return them. Sometimes, when I fly out for business trips, I see him in the lot. He sees me, too. He sees the town car picking me up on the tarmac. He doesn't wave. He just looks down at his scanner. I kept the grandfather clock. It sits in my office, ticking away the seconds. Every tick is a reminder. Never underestimate the person who reads the fine print. And never, ever, bet against the quiet one in the room. If you enjoyed this story of legal justice, hit that like button and subscribe. And remember, a will is just a wish list. A trust is a fortress. See you in the next one.